Hello, LibertyCon. I wore my LibertyCon 29 shirt just for today because that was the year that I debuted this, well, a version of this. So welcome to LibertyCon. Ground control to LibertyCon. Virtual. Ground control to virtual LibertyCon. Take your bourbon shots and turn your speakers on. Ground control to virtual LibertyCon. Commencing countdown, cameras on. For some of us at least. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to virtual LibertyCon. It's time to start the show. And you're welcome to join in anywhere you can. But please wear something over your privates in case you're gonna stand. This is virtual LibertyCon to ground control. We're logged on to the stream. The fan are wishing they could gather face to face and have a normal fanish weekend. That'd be great. But here are we being social rather distantly, missing handshakes and hugs. Romulan ale is still blue, so let's have another drink or two. Though we've read our favorite books 100,000 times, we've barely just begun. Because we're fans and we can never get enough. I'm glad my girlfriend puts up with all of my fanish stuff. Ground control to virtual LibertyCon. Are you ready to go, or is something wrong? Can you hear me, LibertyCon? Can you hear me, LibertyCon? Can you hear me, LibertyCon? Can you hear? Are we being social rather distantly? Driving the extroverts mad. But still, Romulan ale is blue, so let's have another drink or two. Romulan ale is blue, let's have another drink. Another Romulan ale. Its social lubrication leads to my inebriation and the relaxation of my inhibitions without fail. I'd like another Romulan ale. Bring me the brew that's folded blue. Call all the crew and just me and you for another Romulan ale. Oh, bring me the brew that's bold and blue. Call all the crew and just me and you for another Romulan ale. And now to apologize on behalf of LibertyCon for what you just sat through, here's Brand.
Hi. It would not be a LibertyCon opening ceremonies without a song for Gray. So thank you, Grace, so much. And for all of you at home, on vacation, for our friends at confinement, welcome to LibertyCon 33, our virtual weekend extravaganza. I wish that I was with each and every one of you this weekend, but it's just not in the cards. So we are going to have a weekend full of programming, over 125 hours of both pre-recorded and live programming. So just like this hour being live, you never know what you're going to hear or see. So it's going to be wonderful. If you are watching this, then you figured out how to get onto Eventany, which is wonderful. So score one. Eventany is a wonderful startup company that we are thrilled to partner with. Also on Eventany, other than our programming schedule, is also our storefront. It has been a tough year and a half for our community, our authors, our artists, and our vendors. So please, please, please look at their wares and be generous with what you buy. It's great. And the Eventany storefront is really convenient. You can actually buy from multiple people and you just in your cart and it's just one and done. So it's a great way to support our community. Also on Eventany is the programming schedule. If you aren't able to see something when it begins, that's okay. After a scheduled programming time, whether it's a live event or it's a pre-programmed or pre-recorded panel, it will be on all weekend and even afterwards. So enjoy all of the programming you can stand. Now, if you haven't already registered, I would love for you to get on our Discord server. There are instructions how to do that on both Facebook and the website. And so Discord is going to be the way we communicate as far as how we chat with each other through the weekend. We have a con suite where we're going to be talking about what we're eating, what we're doing for the weekend, just a general hangout place. We have a virtual art show where a lot of the artists are going to be hanging out. And we also have chat rooms for many of our authors and our different guests and our artists. So they'll pop in and out during the weekend. You can ask them questions or you can just have a conversation. And one of my favorite parts of Discord is our charity auction. When you go into Discord, it's very simple. It has different sections, and this section will say charity auction. Each charity item has its own room. It has a picture of what you're going to see, and after opening ceremonies, you'll be able to see it and you'll be able to bid until the closing time, and that'll be in there too. Our charity this year is Downside Up of Chattanooga. This wonderful nonprofit supports and educates families with Down syndrome children. And so we are proud that they are our charity of choice this year. So please be generous in supporting them. If you don't see anything that appeals to you in the charity auction, or you just, aren't going to do that for some reason, we also have a space on Eventany to donate. So there are lots of things to do this weekend. We are going to be in and out of Discord. There's even a photo booth. So please take a picture of what you're doing this weekend. And you're going to see lots of pictures of us as we are going about the weekend and trying to bring you the best virtual LibertyCon we can. So now I want to welcome our Masters of Ceremony, Ms. Shannon McGuire. Shannon is the award-winning author of not only the October Day Urban Fantasy series, but many other series, and also writes under the name of Mira Grant for her horror stories, which I don't know which one I love best because I really enjoy them all. So I'm very excited to have her here. If that's not enough, this lady in her spare time records original folk music, and she also is a cartoonist. So please welcome to LibertyCon 33, Shannon McGuire.
Hello, thank you for having me. My favorite thing about the virtual conventions has been that no matter where I go in my house, I look like a Sailor Moon villain if I'm actually facing my camera. I don't understand how some of y'all have glasses and don't have this, but you're wizards. I don't know. So it's lovely to be back at LibertyCon. I wish I were in Tennessee right now. I think we all kind of wish that. But because I am here in Seattle, I have literally just returned home from throwing my phone in the Pacific Ocean like a genius. So we're having a great day. I am here today to introduce your main guests. But first, I'm supposed to talk about myself in a lighthearted way. I actually have a nice little itinerary for this panel, which is great. I am a very serious person, as witness the part where I just threw my phone in the ocean, trying to take a picture of a crab that had just bitten the living crap out of me. I deserved it. I picked him up. You should not pick up live crabs on the beach. It's not as good an idea as you think it is. I think it's a great idea. So do the 5-year-olds I was taking the crab away from. I also got to watch them torment an eel. The eel didn't like it, and rescue an octopus. So we've had a very fruitful day here in Seattle. I hope you're all having fruitful days wherever in the world you're located. And if your days are anything like mine, I hope you remembered the sunscreen. I was wearing SPF 50 and I can still feel my skin trying to die. So our first guest this year is our literary guest of honor, Patricia Briggs. Patty Briggs is the award-winning author best known for her Mercy Thompson series, an urban fantasy series focusing on the adventures of Mercy, a shifter Volkswagen mechanic, which is technically a true statement, but kind of leaves a lot out, like the fact that she turns into a coyote, which is my favorite thing about those books because I work in coyote rescue and I love Patricia. I love the fact that she actually respects coyotes as native animals and an important part of our living ecosystem, which so many people do not. As David mentioned in the program book, Patricia is also one of the kindest, wittiest, most approachable people you could ever hope to meet. And when she's not writing, she can be found in her pasture with her beautiful horses. So welcome, Patty. We're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you, Shannon. I love to do panels with you. It's more fun when we're together.
Everything is more fun.
And since you mentioned horses, I'm sitting in Nampa, Idaho at the Region 4 Arabian Horse Show, which we didn't know we were going to be able to have this year, which is nice. I had to turn off the air conditioning. 100 degrees outside. My flesh, some of it's sunburned, but as we go along, you'll see it better and better. I'm just warning you, folks. It's fun. I'm really delighted to be here. I'm sorry we're not in person. I'm looking forward to next year when hopefully we'll see you all in person. But I feel like I'm missing my people. The very first convention I ever went to, I had 2 books published before I was born and raised in Butte, Montana. I was in Bozeman, Montana when my book got published, and the local newspaper ran an article about it. And I had so many people come up to me and go, "You write fantasy." I'm going, "Not that kind of fantasy." So it was a wonderful thing, the very first convention I went to, where I could talk to people who understood what I was talking about, who knew what Star Trek and Star Wars and, the Mist of Avalon were. It was just a wonderful, warm, great place to be. And pretty much anybody's welcome as long as you're kind to others. And sometimes even if you're not kind to others, and we just kind of shrug and go, okay. I really can't wait to be able to go back in person.
We need some kind of high sign for I'm done talking now because in your face, I don't want to cut you off.
We do.
Just thumbs up me if you have finished your introduction period. Your thumbs.
There we go.
Everybody's thumbs are good. So next up for this year, we have our artist guest of honor, Tiffany Tolan Scott. Tiffany Tolan Scott is a LibertyCon regular who has spent her entire adult life as an artist, starting out as an airbrusher and photo editor, then working as a matte painter, a book cover artist, a photographer, an animator, an illustrator, and a fine artist. I am legit tired just from reading that sentence. Note that sleep artist is not on the list. Inspiration for her work is drawn from the deep, dark woods, Victorian cemeteries, folklore, world literature, things that go bump in the night, and high fashion. When she's not in the studio, she can be found in the garden, the woods, the water, or rolling in the grass with her dogs. And if you roll in the grass with your dogs enough, the things that go bump in the night will leave you a present. Hi, Tiffany. Welcome to LibertyCon.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm Tiffany, and I'm an artist, obviously. I have been really lucky to meet a lot of you in person, and I wish that we could be together today. Several years ago, I had taken a break from conventions and art shows to raise my family, and LibertyCon was one of my first conventions when I came back to work. And I'm really happy that it was this convention with all of you wonderful people. They told me that I could talk for 5 minutes, but that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you. I have to wait for my microphone to come off of mute, Brandy. I did see that I had been given the sign, and Tiffany gave a very clear verbal indication. You can see even after a year, we are not all perfectly smooth and simpatico with the virtual land. Thankfully, I don't think we're ever gonna be, because we're going back to actual flesh space where we can see each other and not cut each other off as much and pick up on things like the micro expressions that tell us someone else is preparing to speak, or that person is going to dump a slushie over your head if you don't shut up. Also, we'll be able to dump slushies over each other's heads again, which is very important. Our science guest of honor this year is Art Dula, a true Renaissance man. So he worked with Da Vinci. Our STEM guest of honor, Art Dula, is a pioneering space lawyer, a patent attorney, the literary executor for science fiction author Robert A. Heinlein's estate, and chairman and founder of the private spaceflight company Excalibur Almaz. Can I get a ride to Mars? His passion for bringing classic science fiction to as wide of an audience as possible can be seen within his work with the Heinlein Society, as you'll see next year, with all the cool items that Art will be showing off at next year's LibertyCon. Welcome.
Hi, greetings from Houston, Texas. How is everybody? I think it's wonderful that we have a video system that can connect Seattle and Tennessee and Houston and all these other places. I'm a lawyer, and I have no idea why they wanted me to be science guest of honor. But since it sounded like it was a lot of fun, decided to do it. My major interest is in the future, and as a patent attorney, I get to see a lot of the future before it happens, because I get to see the patent applications that are filed. I've worked in the aerospace area for about 40 years now, and I can tell you, you haven't seen anything yet. They pre-recorded a talk, hour and 45 minutes. Why anybody would ever listen to anything for an hour and 45 minutes, I don't know. But they recorded it, and it's about a vision of the future that's based on economics. So it's my keynote speech. So I'm going to have, I'll leave you to look at that recording. The best way to prepare for the future is to read science fiction and deal with people that are science fiction fans, or as we like to call them technically in the legal profession, space cadets. Now, the reason for this is really simple. It's impossible to predict the future. If you think you're going to figure out ways to remove manure from the streets of Paris in 1920 as being the biggest problem, because, in 1880, the car hadn't been invented. The best scientist in the world in 1900 said that heavier than air flight was impossible. And when the Western Union Telegraph Company was presented with the telephone and offered it as an invention, they said it had no utility whatsoever. It was just nonsense. And you could write a history of progress by taking things that were so totally impossible that they were just funny, but they actually happened. What makes anybody think that it's going to stop now, that all of a sudden we're going to be linear rather than exponential? We watch these beautiful rockets take off, and yes, we get to ride in them maybe, if they get the cost low enough. I've got to tell you, there's some stuff coming up that doesn't use rockets to get off the Earth. I've seen the patent applications. And, well, you haven't seen anything yet But going to LibertyCon is an excellent way to meet the people that will be able to deal with this amount of change in their life. And so I'm honored to be with you. I'm not a scientist, I'm a lawyer. But if they want to call me a science guest of honor, fantastic. Thank you very much.
So Art is not only a lawyer, he is a fellow member of the Sailor Moon Villains Club. I don't understand how Tiffany and Patty both have such beautifully visible non-whiteout eyes. It's really confusing to me because I have adjusted my lighting 800 times and it makes no change. So our last guest of honor for today for this list is honestly kind of one of the more important ones, just because it's always wonderful to have someone that's local that you know about. And I have had the wonderful opportunity to meet him in the past when I attended LibertyCon in the flesh. Our special guest of honor is Daryl Osborne, generally known as the guy who runs around at conventions in a lab coat, covering children and adults in his intricate and beautiful balloon handiwork. When he's not designing balloon sculptures or performing magic shows, he is a fantastic graphics artist who has created cover art for various book covers, as well as having illustrated several children's books. And since we're not physically in the same space, I can't demand a balloon animal, and I find that personally painful. So, welcome.
Greetings. Hello, everyone in the virtual world. I feel like I am kind of the poster child for science fiction fantasy. And that's just on a personal level. And let me explain. I was born in a government facility outside Orleans, France. But then I was raised in a small farming community in Kentucky called Trenton, with a population of only 350 people. And of course, I did what every child of my age did. I got into magic, juggling, ventriloquism, fire eating, and balloons. I'm sure it was something my parents thought I would grow out of. Then later, I went to college and studied theater at Austin Peay State University in Tennessee with the great school cheer, Let's Go Peay. Obviously a progressive school. And it was there during the summer I would travel to different states and do summer theater. And one summer I spent it doing fire eating in the circus. Later on, I actually met my wife there, Stephanie Osborne. And she was there finishing up her undergraduate degrees in math, physics, chemistry, and geology. And I thought, at last, someone I can talk to. But then we got married and we moved to Nashville, where she attended Vanderbilt for a master's. And I went to work for a theme park at that time in the live entertainment department of what was known as Opryland. And so I was working live entertainment at Opryland. Also, I was doing my own shows. Also, I was doing special effects makeup for television commercials and photo shoots. Later on, we moved to Huntsville, Alabama, which I'm at right now. And not only do I do my shows, but I got into doing graphics support for the Department of Defense and NASA. So now I'm in Huntsville doing art for Department of Defense and NASA, traveling around the South doing my own show. And I'm very fortunate that my entire adult life has been spent just doing art and entertainment. So to me, the fantasy and science fiction world is more familiar to me as my world than the normal world. And I think that's what brings us all together, is that we all sort of feel like we fit more into the science fiction fantasy world. So what these conventions do, it lets us find out we're not alone. Science fiction sort of brought Stephanie and I together. On one of our early dates, I took her to KublaCon. It was our very first convention. All of you remember KublaCon. But I really miss seeing everyone. I've recorded some very special, very weird things for you that's going to be showing throughout the weekend. I hope you all have fun, and I look forward to seeing you again next year.
So thank you all so much for being here today, both in the audience and here on our panel of wonderful and engaging guests of honor. There are a variety of programming events throughout this weekend, some pre-recorded, meaning that you will be able to come and watch them, but not interact with the panelists as part of that presentation. though we have all been asked to be, and I believe we all will be, on Discord following any presentation we're a part of, so that you can come to the convention Discord and interact with us there, even if it's not verbal, which is frankly sometimes kind of better. My spelling is superior to my pronunciation almost always. That is true of many writers. Hey. And then some of our panel events, like this one, will be live, and you will be able to interact with people, ask questions, much more in the mode of a normal convention panel, but with less trying to frantically stay in the frame of our camera. So everyone involved with LibertyCon has done an incredible job and a lot of hard work. I know that the virtual conventions have been an interesting experience for all of us over the course of the last year, and the learning curve has been steep, but we've done a pretty darn good job as a community, and I applaud everyone at the LibertyCon convention staff for all of the work that they've done. So thank you all so much for coming to our opening ceremonies. I'm going to hand you back to Brandy and then go die of heat stroke in the corner of my house.
So I don't even know what to say. Thank y'all so much. I did not think we could top a physical opening ceremonies, but this is fantastic. And for those of you who are regular LibertyCon attendees, we do not disappoint, even if we are not all in the ballroom of the Chattanoogan. So at this time, normally, we would give a shout out to all of our professionals on programming. As you well know, we have a lot of professionals. So we're going to do something a little bit different this year. For 2 minutes, what you're going to see is a very cool scrolling list of all the names of our professionals and sort of what category they're in. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to finish it up. So hang on, don't leave after the scroll. We're going to be right back. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And thank you, each and every one of you. We could not have done this without our amazing staff. When we had to make the decision to go virtual this year, it was a little bit with a wing and a prayer because we weren't sure how this was going to happen. But luckily, the science fiction community has so many experts in so many realms. And so as we put out a call for help, It was more than answered by our normal staff, as well as new members that we've added to the LibertyCon family. So for those of you who have moderated events, recorded events, edited us countless hours of editing and reviewing, and been on these panels, which for most of us are a very new thing, thank you. And so if you check out this weekend, and if you like what you see, LibertyCon is a limited attendance convention. So historically, we've had 750 memberships that we sell, and they sell out pretty fast. We talked a lot about it, and we had previously announced that we are moving to 1,000 attendees, and that's paid badges. We think we can do that and preserve the same culture, because that's really important for us, to be large enough to be able to offer you lots to do, but small enough to where you get a very personal experience. So on July 23rd, on noon Eastern, we are going to open up those additional badges. And so there'll be more details. We'll put that on our website, on Facebook, but we are going to sell them through Eventany. That is the platform we are moving to for all of our sales. And so on July 23rd, noon Eastern, if you haven't already gotten a badge for next year and you think you might want to come, then that's when they will be on sale. So spend the weekend checking us out. The programming, again, please be generous with not only our charity, but our vendors, our authors, our artists, and our vendors. Those are we wouldn't have a community without our authors. They spin the worlds that we read and that we love. So please, please, please just enjoy your weekend. So welcome to LibertyCon 33. The convention has begun. Thank you. Hello, LibertyCon. During the opening ceremonies, there was one thing I forgot to mention, and it's something personally important to me, so I wanted to let you know now. At LibertyCon, we have a charity book called Give Me LibertyCon. It was co-edited by Christopher Woods and Tony Weiskopf, who brought in a wonderful group of authors who made stories that really give you the flavor of what LibertyCon is, up to and including many of the characters being staff members. All the profits from this book helps the charity of choice for LibertyCon each year, so we really encourage you to buy it. Not only is it helpful, but it's just a wonderful book. You can get this book at Bain.com. You can get this book at Amazon, or if you prefer an independent book dealer, it is at www.themissingvolume.com. So thank you in advance, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I have. Now back to your original programming.